This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. No wonder I've always felt that something was strange, but I couldn't tell what was wrong. Now that you've said it, it's true. Chang Haomiao revealed a look of realization and said with a strange expression, could it be that the eyes of these things are the so-called moon pupils? No, the statues here are completely wrong. Baiming Lifeng suddenly overturned his own judgment. He walked over to a pillar that was stuck in the sand, wiped off a layer of dust, and pointed at the monsters on it, saying, look, their eyes are different from the previous ones. Although they're still bright and full of energy, they don't have that heart-palpitating demonic feeling. Everyone looked over and saw that the sculpture was of a group of creatures standing together in an orderly manner. They were also of no race or type. Although their eyes were different from before, they had the same expression. Not only this pillar, but there were also many other patterns. The eyes were different, but they seemed to be classified based on the eyes. The so-called moon pupil is not an eye, but a race, Yun Xiao explained. In ancient times, they were called the pupil clan, similar to the demons and humans of today. The moon pupil is just one of the branches of the pupil clan, and it is also the most powerful one. Eye clan? What kind of form do they exist in? Huh? Chen Kaihong was shocked, the pictures on these murals seem to be of different races gathered together. Could it be that the eye race lives by occupying their bodies? Yun Xiao nodded. Even if they are all from the pupil clan, they are very different. A very small number of them have their own physical form, but most of them rely on parasites to continue their existence. A beam of light suddenly flashed between his brows, and the immemorial heaven's eye suddenly opened, giving everyone a huge shock. Yun Xiao chuckled. Don't panic. This is just an ancient heavenly eye, and it's just one of the eye clan. The will of this heavenly eye has died long ago, and what's left is just a shell with the power of eye techniques. The pupil of the immemorial heavenly eye rolled a few times, and then a smile appeared on its face. It was Yun Xiao's expression. The expert from the Baiming family, Baiming Tongfang, suddenly spoke, I've seen this immemorial heaven's eye before, and it's quite powerful. It's quite a stroke of good fortune for young Master Yun to be able to obtain one. Yun Xiao's heart fluttered as he asked, oh? May I ask where you met him, sir? Baiming Tongfang didn't say anything else, as if he couldn't be bothered to say anything. Yun Xiao thought to himself, the immemorial heavenly eye has gone extinct for a long time. It was made by Gu Yuesheng's master, Madman Jia. It is said that he found the tomb of the immemorial heavenly eye. Could it be that Madman Jia is also related to the Baiming family? But since Baiming Tongfang didn't say anything else, he couldn't be bothered to pay him any more attention. He put away his heaven's eye and said, the immemorial heaven's eye is one of the most common forms in the eye race. It is a form where one's physical body is stored. A parasite can have several or even dozens of immemorial heaven's eyes, and one of them will definitely be the king. Yun Xiao pointed at one of the patterns. On it was a huge hippopotamus creature with hundreds of eyes, one of which was the largest and the most vivid. If that's the case, does it mean that Gu Feiyang's eyes were an outsider when he had the moon pupil? Chang Haomiao frowned. The immemorial heavenly eye is the most common way of storing a physical body in the pupil clan, Yun Xiao said with a smile. As the most powerful existence in the pupil clan, the moon eye does not store its physical body, but directly fuses with the host's soul, and they will live and die together with the host. Hence, the moon eye will definitely choose an extremely powerful existence to reside in, such as Gu Feiyang. Then how is the moon pupil produced and reproduced? Baiming Tongfang asked again. No. Yun Xiao shook his head and said, I know that there is a certain chance of passing on the legacy through the reproduction of host bodies, but the probability is not high. As for the creation of the moon pupil, it had to be said that everyone's purpose this time was Tian Si. The heavenly thoughts are formless, I don't know what kind of existence it is, but I know that in order to give birth to the moon pupil, there must be the heavenly thoughts, and the heavenly thoughts is the totem of the eye clan. His gaze swept across the broken walls, and he walked to a broken wall. He pointed at a pattern and said with uncertainty, perhaps this is what Tian Si is? Everyone looked over and saw all kinds of creatures kneeling on the pattern, but above them was a blank space, with only a few strokes of something that looked like a cloud but was not a cloud. Yunxiao had obtained all this information from the throne inheritance, so he picked out some irrelevant ones and told them about it. Cheng Haomiao couldn't help but ask, the messenger said that whoever thinks about it will be able to reach the God realm. Is that true? Yunxiao rolled his eyes at him and said, you're thinking about the immortal state now. It's too far away for you. I've heard from all of you that the messenger's strength is definitely above everyone's. If there's really something good about the God realm, would he be so stupid as to come and tell you? Or is it as Lord Kai Hong said, we don't care what the other party's goal is, as long as it can benefit us, it's enough. You're right. I've never heard of anyone who has reached the immortal state, Bai Ming Lai Feng agreed. If he can get Tian Si, he can at least stand at the peak of this continent. If Gu Feiyang didn't have the help of the Moon Eye, it would be extremely difficult for him to leave his name on the heaven and earth power chart, let alone the Tong clan's totem, Tian Si. Chang Haomiao replied, Brother Lai Feng, don't think too highly of yourself. You must note that the Red Moon City Master is also looking for Tian Si. Our chances are extremely slim. Strength alone isn't enough to obtain such a peerless treasure. One must also have great luck, Bai Ming Lai Feng said with a chuckle. You're right, but we can't even find the passage to the ruins. It seems like our luck isn't that great, Cheng Haomiao said. Bai Ming Lai Feng frowned and said unhappily, why does Brother Heaven's Expanse like to say such disheartening words all day long? Everyone fell silent, as if they were at their wits' end. They had been here for a few days, and the auras of those people in Red Moon City had indeed disappeared here. They knew that there was another space here, but they couldn't find it no matter how hard they tried. Young Master Yun, you know so much. I wonder if you know the way to the ruins. Chen Kaihong asked. Yunxiao spread his hands and said helplessly, I can't do anything about that. I only know that the ruins are nearby. There are so many powerful cultivators here, can't you sense the location of the space? Chen Kaihong laughed bitterly. Not only can I not sense the space, but I can also sense the auras of the people in Red Moon City. They must have been afraid that someone would track them down, so they erased their traces. With Jiang Churen's ability, it's easy for her to erase her aura, Yunxiao said. It's not realistic to track down the people in Red Moon City. It seems that I have to find a way myself. He also began to ponder. The inheritance of the throne did not mention the method to enter the ruins. At this moment, the best way was to use the moon pupil. Then, all the traps and arrays would not be able to escape his eyes. However, there were so many people, how could he use the pupil technique? Yunxiao began to search through the incomplete murals, hoping to find some clues. However, after half a day, they still found nothing. The murals were too badly damaged, and they had no idea what those records were. Suddenly, his eyes fell on half of the stone wall. It was a scene of a group of creatures kneeling and worshipping. There were all kinds of creatures, and the object in front of them had been broken. However, the place where this group of people stood was a magnificent building arranged in an oval shape. Bang! Suddenly, Yunxiao leaped into the air and looked down at the ground, his pupils constricting. There was no doubt that the place where the group of people knelt on the mural was here. The broken remnants were vaguely oval in the shape of an eye. And from the direction where they knelt, it should be the swan and eye. Yunxiao raised his head and looked at the blood moon in the sky. It looked like a strange eye, exuding a demonic power. His entire body trembled, and his eyes instantly turned blood red. The moon-like pupils suddenly appeared, and he was so frightened that he broke out in cold sweat. He hurriedly circulated his origin energy to suppress it. What's wrong? Did you find anything? Bai Ming Lai Feng flew up and stopped beside Yunxiao. He looked at Yunxiao, who was sweating profusely, and asked suspiciously. With his eyes closed, Yunxiao shook his head slightly and said, there's no progress. However, there was a huge wave in his heart. In the moment he formed the moon pupil, he seemed to have seen something, but he could not confirm it. Oh. Then why is young Master Yun covered in cold sweat? Bai Ming Lifeng said in disbelief, although I don't know why young Master Yun has some misunderstandings and prejudices against our Bai Ming family, we are all on the same boat now. Young Master Yun and I still have the agreement of the East Sea, and we need a long-term cooperation. I hope that we can establish a certain friendship. After saying that, Bai Ming Lifeng suddenly and quickly retreated dozens of meters. He was on full alert as he stared at Yunxiao in horror, because he found that there seemed to be a faint violent aura coming from Yunxiao's body, and it was unusually demonic and not very friendly. Young Master Yun, what's wrong with you? The aura on Yunxiao's body slowly disappeared, and he finally opened his eyes, which were as clear as water. I'm fine. I just felt a little unwell. Some old diseases just acted up. An old illness acting up? Could it be an injury from the battle at the Red Moon City? Bai Ming Lifeng asked, a little suspicious. You can say that, Yunxiao said perfunctorily. I've been fighting and killing all year round. Isn't it normal to have some injuries? Bai Ming Lifeng felt his throat go dry. He knew that Yunxiao was talking nonsense again. This man always liked to wrangle and be frivolous at critical moments, but there was nothing he could do about it. That's true. Our Bai Ming family has a lot of good medicine. We can give some to young Master Yun as a bridge to our friendship. Oh. It's rare for Brother Feng to be so polite. I heard that the Bai Ming family has an outworld darkstone, Yunxiao said with a touched expression. It's an item of extreme een and cold in the world. Can I have a look at it? Young Master Yun, you must be joking. Bai Ming Lifeng laughed. The outworld darkstone is an important treasure of our sect. It's the foundation of our sect. How can we lend it to others? Humph. Yunxiao snorted. In that case, what friendship is there to talk about? Brother Feng, please step aside. Don't delay my study of the mysteries of this place. Bai Ming Lifeng's heart was stifled. If it were not for his lack of strength, he would have torn Yunxiao into pieces long ago. And for the first time, he felt a great desire to kill Yunxiao. The talent of the man in front of him was too terrifying. He had thought that Yunxiao's martial foundation had been destroyed, but now it seemed that it was most likely nonsense. Since he could not befriend such a terrifying man, he must be killed, or he would definitely become a stumbling block for him to dominate the world. Then, young Master Yun, hurry up and study it. I won't disturb you any longer. Bai Ming Lifeng flew down, but his face was extremely dark. The two of them did not lower their voices on purpose, so everyone present was a martial emperor. They had heard everything clearly, and each of them had their own expressions. However, everyone from the Bai Ming family had a murderous look on their faces, especially Bai Ming Tongfang, who had a flash of killing intent. At this time, everyone was on high alert, fearing that Bai Ming Tongfang would suddenly kill him. After all, Yunxiao seemed to have found something, and it was their hope to find the relic. They could not let the people of the Bai Ming family kill him. It would not matter anymore after they found the entrance. Young Master Yun, how is it? Did you find anything? One of the experts from Myriad Stars Valley finally could not stand it anymore. He saw Yunxiao's figure stay in the sky for several hours without moving. Perhaps, Yunxiao said. I've already found a way to enter the ruins. What? Everyone was shocked and hurriedly flew into the sky, surrounding him anxiously. Did you manage to capture the coordinates of the ruins? Chen Kaihong quickly asked. Yunxiao slowly opened his eyes and said, No, look at the blood moon in the sky. Doesn't it look like something? Everyone raised their heads as Bai Ming Tongfang said in a deep voice, It's like a human's pupil, exactly the same as Gu Feiyang's moon eyes. He saw everyone looking at him and added, I've seen Gu Feiyang's moon eyes. Yunxiao gave him a surprised look, but he had no impression of this man. He thought that this man was just a minion of the Bai Ming family in the past, but now his strength had improved greatly. Everyone, look at the broken walls on the ground. What do they look like? As everyone looked down, Chen Kaihong said, It should be an eye. I've seen many descriptions of this place in the murals. Now, it's almost destroyed, and the shape is not very clear. Not bad. One pupil, one eye, Yun Xiao said seriously. Have you noticed that the blood moon in the sky is moving? Chang Haomiao frowned, that's true. I've noticed this a long time ago. It seems to be rotating in a certain pattern. However, it's been many days and there's no sign of anything unusual. It's not that they didn't show up, Yun Xiao said. It's because you haven't caught them. I'm sure that in the entire world, only when you look at the blood moon within the range of this huge eye will you feel it moving. And when the moon shines into the pupil of the eye, there will definitely be a strange phenomenon. He dared to say this because as the moon moved, an extremely familiar frequency fluctuated in the sky, and it was getting stronger and stronger, which gave him this idea. Everyone's face was full of disbelief. Some people even showed a look of ridicule, laughing at him for being too arbitrary. Some people even shook their heads repeatedly. Yun Xiao remained silent. He stood there indifferently with his hands crossed over his chest, waiting quietly. Gradually, the faint projection of the moon moved on the ground, and soon it finally landed in the center of the remnant, where the eye should have been. Everyone was shocked. Although they did not quite believe Yun Xiao's words, they were still nervous when they arrived. Time passed by slowly, and nothing unusual happened. Li Yun Xiao, your speculation is too naive. If there was something unusual, how could we not notice it after staying here for several days? Chen Feng couldn't help but sneer. It was as if he had vented his previous depression. His face was full of pride and ridicule. Everyone was also greatly disappointed, shaking their heads and sighing. Chen Kaihong sighed, perhaps the method to open the ruins can only be used once. Once Jiang Churen and the others use it, we won't be able to enter again. The rest of the martial artists were also quite disappointed. Chang Haomiao sighed, perhaps this is because I didn't have enough opportunities. Just as everyone was feeling dejected, the frequency fluctuation Yun Xiao sensed reached its maximum. He finally found something. He looked up at the sky and said with a solemn expression, everyone, look at the blood moon. Isn't there something unusual about it? Everyone was startled and hurriedly looked up at the sky. They saw that the strange moon seemed to have become even stranger, but they couldn't tell what was wrong. Chen Feng looked on in a daze and suddenly said, the moon earlier was like a human's pupil, but it was the kind that appeared when one fell asleep after closing their eyes. At this moment, the moon's eyes seemed to have grown wide. The pupils are open, and not only are they emitting light, but they also have the spirit of the owner of the pupils. The owner of the pupil? Everyone was taken aback, and their hearts trembled. This was just a moon that looked like a moon pupil. Could it really be a big pupil and had an owner? Although Chen Feng's words were outrageous, when everyone followed his words and thought about it, they felt that it was more and more similar, and they were all shocked. Chen Feng could not help but say, even if it's a little different, what does it mean? We still can't find the passage. Yun Xiao gave him a faint look and said with a sneer, you can't find the passage because your cultivation is too low, so you can't sense it. Lord Kaihong, you should be able to sense it, right? Chen Feng's face instantly turned red from embarrassment. He said angrily, Li Yun Xiao, what nonsense are you talking about? If everyone could sense it, they would have left this place long ago. Chen Kaihong's eyes were filled with confusion. He stared at the blood moon in the sky for a while, then turned to Baiming Tongfang, Sir Tongfang, you have the highest cultivation level here. Can you sense it? Chen Feng's expression changed slightly and looked a little ugly. Was it really because his cultivation level was too weak? The strongest experts from the Myriad Stars Valley and the Soul Devourer clan also turned their gazes over. Each and every one of them was frowning, as if they were not too confident. Baiming Tongfang was also puzzled, you've also noticed it? I thought I was hallucinating, but there seemed to be a faint spatial fluctuation above the blood moon. What? Above the blood moon? Everyone was shocked. Could it be that the so-called ruins were on the moon? Although this moon was not the moon of the realm of heavenly martial arts, it was still a strange celestial body. It was tens of thousands of miles away, much further than the outer starry sky of the realm of heavenly martial arts. How could they get up there? Only then did Chen Kaihong speak in a serious tone, as expected, I felt the same way. Since Master Tong Feng also feels the same way, then it should be correct. Chen Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Li Yunxiao, did you sense it too? Only a few 6 stars martial sovereigns had a faint sense of it, and the others had not found anything at all. Yunxiao was the first one to discover it, so how could he not be shocked? Don't forget that I'm an 8th-tier alchemist, Yunxiao said indifferently. My divine sense is stronger than any of you. A badge suddenly appeared in his hand and flashed in front of everyone. It was an 8th-tier alchemist's badge, and everyone's faces changed drastically. Chen Feng knew more or less about Yunxiao's cultivation base in sorcery, but the others did not. The fact that Yunxiao was so amazing in both sorcery and martial arts made it even more difficult for the people of the 7 major forces to suppress the horror and fear in their hearts. How old was this kid? He actually had such an achievement. Given time, if he was given another 10 or 20 years, who in the world could subdue him? Bai Ming Lifeng's heart was also extremely heavy, and his killing intent was spreading uncontrollably. I didn't expect young Master Yun to be an 8th-tier alchemy master. I've been disrespectful. Chen Kaihong's face turned solemn, and he no longer treated his juniors with the same attitude. After all, he did not dare to show off his status in front of an 8th-tier alchemist. Luo Yuankai, the leader of the Myriad Stars Valley, said, Young Master Yun, do you feel anything? As an 8th-tier alchemist, his divine sense must be stronger than all of them. It was difficult for him to sense the abnormality while none of them had noticed it. My senses are the same as everyone else's, Yunxiao said. Although I don't know what's going on, the so-called relic is likely to be on the back of the moon. As for the passage, it might not exist. Doesn't exist? Luo Yuankai was slightly stunned and asked, what do you mean by non-existent? Do we have to fly over? Maybe we're flying over. Yunxiao said seriously. We're flying over there. You must be joking. The leader of the Soul Devourer clan, Fade Yangyuan, snorted coldly, if we really fly, we won't be able to get there without decades of time. Are we going to wait until the next opening of the world? In fact, what you see may not be true, Yunxiao said indifferently. It may take decades to fly to the Blood Moon from other places, but it may only take a moment to get there from here. What do you mean? Fade Yangyuan frowned. On your way here, have you found that the space in this desert is actually very distorted? Yunxiao said. Even if you spread out your divine sense, you can't find all the hidden things. There are only a large number of spatial rifts, and many demon beasts like to hide in those rifts, waiting to give people a fatal blow. Everyone nodded slightly. They had fought a lot along the way, and many of them even smiled. The more they fought, the more they gained.